Welcome to Front Range Facts. This is Anthony Meisner.
And this is Jim Marion.
We're here to give you your local market update for the month of July. Let's dive right into this. Housing inventory is for sale by month, rising, right, Jim?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got quite a buildup of inventory as we covered in the other shows that we're seeing specifically in Denver Metro is getting hit pretty much as bad as it gets across the nation. So
we're 12,000 units on the market is the most we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Well, what about this one, Jim?
So you got the housing bubble, as we're, calling it here, that's built up over the unicorn years. So, we have basically a price drop of about 9% from 2022 peaks in the Denver metro area. So there's certainly been a price correction. It does seem like a lot of the data indicates we're in recovery at this point in time, but it's very much a flat to slightly positive recovery.
Yeah, that condo townhouse market, though, has definitely not been there yet. I think we have not hit the bottom of this market, and this one has suffered much worse. 6.8% year-over-year change. But look at this. Since 2000, if you bought a condo, you still were up 144%. So there is a lot of value and equity in there that can still disappear before we're really out of this bubble, I think. Now, what about this?
Yeah, the active supply of inventory right now is up 27% from this time last year for the greater metro Denver area. New listings, only 5.5% increase. So we are seeing like a reduction basically in the flow of new inventory coming on as that existing inventory has been backing up and staying on the market longer. It seems to be discouraging sellers from jumping in and trying to get their home sold.
It does. We're also seeing some more expireds on the market because at 5,100 new listings coming down market, we're only about 3,750 for under contracts. Even though it is up a little bit, it's up 5%. There's just so much inventory sitting on the market. People are starting to get frustrated, and it's happening, a few months ahead of schedule, what we would normally experience in the marketplace. 3.7 months of inventory is all, though. I mean, yes, this is up 20%, but compared to most of the state, Denver Metro still has a shortage in inventory compared to other places. They just don't have the buyers to pick up what the sellers are bringing.
But it is encouraging to see pendings are greater right now than they were in the last 2 years. 24, 23, we're a little bit above, where we were in those levels the last 2 years. So that's good to see.
It's great to see. What does it feel like to be in the market, right? I mean, that's what our market activity slide's all about. It's taken about 10 days longer to go under contract than it did this time last year. And, you're basically, as a buyer, have a little bit more buying power than you did before. You're able to negotiate a better deal by a little bit.
So I mean, it's really surprising to see only, 1.2% price, cut on, the sold price of homes too. So some resiliency on sellers there.
It is. The one thing you got to remember here is it doesn't include price drops and it doesn't include seller concessions. And a lot of that is being reflected in seller concessions right now because people don't want it to be worth less. They're kind of keeping that price in.
And we're certainly seeing a lot of homes get pulled off the market for like 30 days, getting a refresh of some sort, new paint or new flooring done or whatever else, and then getting put back on at day 31. So it erases all the days on market and starts fresh too.
It does. Now, the average sales price for the area is only down 0.6%, which I say only because it could be a lot worse. We're seeing a lot worse data across the nation. The median sales price very similar to that, but we're still at $650. So we're still seeing a lot of price integrity in the Denver metro market. Now, when we switch over to somewhere like Boulder County, Jim, what's happening there?
Well, it's encouraging to see that, from a seller's perspective, that, there's been a lot of headwinds with more inventory, but we're seeing basically that inflow of new inventory really reduce quite a bit. So it's preventing a large increase. And so we're actually seeing inventory levels essentially drop for new listing flow and, the current active listings that have been sitting there longer.
When we talk about the buyers are up to 400 right now. We really have seen more buyers in the Boulder County market, more so than the Denver Metro, 13% increase, which is substantial. I mean, this is a good amount of buyers, but it's still not enough to compensate. But we do have 4.5 months of inventory. So as Boulder County is a little bit higher price. It's going to respond a little different.
It's amazing to see that the pendings, though, are actually pretty much at the highest level they've been in the past 4 years, which doesn't feel like it at all, but that's where we're at right now.
Absolutely. Now, this single-family home prices have been falling a little bit. They show 6% drop. I don't necessarily know if that's indicative of the whole market. The median is at 0.1%, so very similar to where it was a year ago. That tells me that it's not all prices or all products. It could be luxury. You're going to see a lot of that single-family stuff in unique marketplaces. But as a whole, the whole median really hasn't changed too much. Now, that represents more of out in the county, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing there. Weld County, what about the supply there?
Same thing. We're seeing a slight decrease now in both the new listings and the active listings on the market. So the sellers, pulling themselves strategically off are certainly helping to maintain price, points higher than they would if there was a mad rush of more inventory. So they're showing some resiliency, even though there is an increase in 20% of active listings.
Now, the buyer demand there is very different than in a lot of cases, right? We have 500 homes still coming off the market. Buyer demand is better in Weld County. It's keeping that month supply of inventory a lot lower at 3.4 months. Yeah. So pretty big difference there, but it's largely due to the price point, right?
Yeah, that's a value buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what about Larimer County?
Yeah, Larimer County, has always struggled with inventory levels in general. They've seen a surge in them this year, and right now, the active listings seem to be taking longer to come off the market, because they're not seeing the drop right now in active listings. Even though the new listing flow has certainly decreased, it's 10.7% higher than last year, but we're seeing a slower pace over the last 3 months than we do otherwise.
Absolutely. And 850 new listings coming to market, only 500 of them going under contract. Still very similar to what we've felt everywhere else, more buyer activity, but it's just still low, right? Yeah. And the month supply of inventory there is at 4.3. So it's going to feel very similar to most of the front range in many ways.
And then our friends in El Paso, we've got right now 10% increase in new listings. Sold listings are also right around 10%. So there's some pretty solid parity right there with both of those. But the inventory of homes for sale has increased about 27%. So if you're a buyer, you've got a lot more choices than you've had in years past, because that market's always been very tight with being a value buy and having a lot of money go to there. But, townhome condo market, what about that, Anthony?
Yeah, this is the one where it's tough. Very similar to the rest of the front range, minus 10% in sold listings. So we're seeing a reduction in that. We are seeing an average sales price drop of 9.5%. That's a tough pill to swallow, but it's largely just due to 5 months of inventory on the marketplace and a very few number of buyers, right? I mean, it's not a value buy like it was before because all the HOA changes and all the price increases there. So it's not as much of an affordable product as a single family home market right now. Yeah. And that's kind of what we've got for you for the state. Don't forget to check out the other podcasts we do. We do a national update. We do a Colorado update. If you have questions, concerns, reach out to us on the show, frontrangefacts@gmail.com. I'm Anthony Meisner. You can reach me at 303-968-9868 or ameisner@ltgc.com.
And I'm Jim Marion, realtor here at Coldwell Banker. Give me a call back at 303-548-0243 or shoot me an email to jim@ourcoloradohomes.com. Have a great one.